This is activity 68, and in this video I'm going to explain how to do double declining balance depreciation. In the previous video, or previous activity, we talked about straight line depreciation. And in straight line depreciation, basically what you do is you multiply the depreciable base by 1 divided by the useful life. So in essence, depreciation expense under straight line would be the depreciable base times 1 divided by the useful life. That's the formula. Now, with double declining balance, though, what we're going to do, double declining balance, the double declining balance rate is going to be the straight line rate times 2, or double the straight line rate. And what you would do is instead of multiplying it by the depreciable base, you multiply it by the cost. So the actual depreciation expense will be equal to the cost of the asset times 2 divided by the useful life. And you're going to depreciate the asset until you reach the salvage value, residual value. So let's just, we could look at how to figure out the double declining rate. That would be, if your straight line rate, let's say for a 5-year life, your straight line rate would be 1/5 or 20%, then the double declining balance rate would be 40%. So if it was a 10-year life, your straight line rate would be 1/10 or 10%. If this was the double declining rate, then it would be 20% or double the straight line. Try it for the 3-year life for a moment. All right, so for 3-year life, it would be 1 divided by 3, or 33%. And you multiply that for the double declining balance rate, so it would be 66.7%. Yeah, it could be 33.3. We know we're really talking about a third here. So if equipment costs $400,000, now remember, this is the same example as you saw in the previous video or previous activity. So if you had equipment costing $400,000, estimated useful life, residual value of $50,000. And remember what we did last time, annual depreciation was $70,000 a year. Using double declining balance, what we would do is we would double the straight line rate. So the straight line rate, if you remember, for a 5-year asset was 20%. That would mean that the double declining balance rate would be 40%. And we would not multiply the double declining balance rate by the depreciable base. That's what we do with straight line. Remember, depreciable base times 1 over the useful life. Rather, what we're going to do is we're going to multiply by the book value at the beginning of the year. So rather than multiplying by 350, as you can see here, I'm multiplying by 400,000 because that's the book value. So in the first year, 400,000 times 40% is 160,000. So accumulated depreciation would be 160,000, and therefore 400,000 minus 160,000, your book value would be 240. Now to go to year 2, again it's going to be book value. So book value is changing as we depreciate the asset, and the new book value is not $400,000 anymore, it's 240,000. So this would be 240,000 times 40%, or $96,000 for year 2. So accumulated depreciation would be 160 plus 96,000, or $256,000. And then the remaining book value would be $240,000. That's the old book value, or I should say the acquisition cost. Let's do it that way. 400,000 minus the accumulated depreciation, which is now 256,000, giving me ending accumulated depreciation of, book value of $144,000. Year 3, again, what's our book value? Book value is now 144,000. So 144,000 times 40% equals $57,600. And accumulated depreciation, therefore, would be 256,000 plus $57,600 would give you 313,600. So now book value would be 400,000 minus accumulated depreciation of 313,600 equals 86,400. Look how the value of this asset is dropping. It's dropping more than $70,000 a year, as you can see. But now that's slowing down. Remember that straight line was $70,000 a year. The first year we took a whopping $160,000. Then we took $96,000. Now the amounts that we're taking are much lower than $70,000. Year 3 is only $57,600. Year 4 is going to be $86,400 because remember that is the beginning book value, and you do the rest. Pause the video, fill out the rest of this line. Okay, good job. 86,000 times 40% is equal to 34,560. So accumulated depreciation would be 313,600 plus 34,560 would give you 348,160. Book value would be 400,000 minus the accumulated depreciation of 348,160 and equals book value of 51,840. Year 5. Remaining book value now is 51,840 times 40% equals 20,736. Accumulated depreciation would be 348,160 plus 20,736 or 368,896. And then the book value would be 400,000 minus 368,896 equals 31,104. And now there's a problem. I don't know if you noticed, but there is a problem here. The problem is that the residual value is $50,000. And we've gone under that. We determined that at the end of 5 years, the asset should have a book value of $50,000. And we're assigning it a book value of $31,104. That won't work. So we have to do is back up a little bit and plug the difference. In other words, what we're going to do is we're going to say that the ending book value should not be 31,104, but rather it should be 50,000. So to do this backwards, I would say that I need to have accumulated depreciation of 50,000, and the way I would get there is, book value should be 50,000. So if accumulated depreciation is 350,000, because the original cost was 400,000, right? In other words, I'm going to work backwards now. My book value would be 50,000. So my accumulated depreciation must be 350,000. And therefore, the amount of depreciation in year 4, or rather year 5, should be equal to the difference between the old book value and the new book, and between the old book value of 51,840 and the new book value of $50,000. In other words, all I really need to do here, I don't want to do it this way because it would bring me to a book value that's below the residual value. So all I need to do to calculate depreciation right now is take the previous book value and subtract the new salvage value, and that would give the salvage value that I want, and that would give me 1840. So I just need to record an additional 1840 in depreciation. That will boost my accumulated depreciation to 350 and bring my residual value down from 51,840 to $50,000. So to work out this chart again, my depreciation in year one was a whopping $160,000. Depreciation in year two is 96,000. I'm sorry, depreciation one is 160,000. My balance sheet, my acquisition cost would be 400,000. Gotta make these a little smaller. Sorry about this. And the accumulated depreciation then would be $160,000, giving me a book value of $240,000. In year two, my accumulated depreciation would be $256,000, that's given, and a book value of $144,000. Year three, my depreciation expense was $57,600. Acquisition cost was on the balance sheet would be $400,000. Accumulated depreciation is now up to $313,600 from the chart above, and the book value that would appear on the balance sheet would be $86,400. Year four, my depreciation expense on the income statement would be $34,560. Acquisition cost still $400,000. Accumulated depreciation is $348,160. And the book value, $400,000 minus $348,160 would be $51,840. Year five, my depreciation expense is $1840. Acquisition cost, because I got that from my what we call a plug. Acquisition cost is $400,000. Accumulated depreciation would be $350,000, and book value is exactly the number we're looking for, $50,000. What would happen in year six? In year six, you would have no depreciation. Your acquisition cost, though, would still be $400,000, and accumulated depreciation would still be $350,000, and the book value would still be $50,000.